Welcome back to the dark side, where we explore horror, science fiction through real science, psychology, mythology, and hidden meanings. Y'all like my new intro? I wanted to do something different for you guys because I feel that sometimes my videos can be all over the place, so I'm trying to keep it structured. I am back to talk about Silo episode 3. Can we discuss the dialogue between Camille and the algorithm when she found out what Juliet was up to? Not to mention what Lucas Cal knows about the other silos and why there are strict laws about how far the tunnel goes. The algorithm immediately cuts Camille off mid-sentence and tells her that every precaution must be taken immediately. It seems to me that the algorithm's behavior changes, even its voice. I don't care what anyone says, I believe there is a human behind that algorithm. I've already talked about my theory that Victor could be the voice behind it, but what if Daniel is also one of the voices? I mentioned Daniel in my last video because of his military background, but after watching his behavior and the tone he used while talking to Helen in the car, I'm starting to think there's a possibility it's him. But here's the problem. There's roughly a 300-year gap between Daniel and Victor lived on Earth while Juliet is alive inside the silo. Remember, Daniel is a young congressman in his, I believe, 30s or 40s, while Victor is a middle-aged medical scientist. So if my theory is correct, I want to know, how are they able to survive that long? Now, as many of you know, I watch a lot of horror and science fiction movies, and here are a couple of possibilities. Could this be something like The Brain That Wouldn't Die, the 1963 film about a mad doctor who develops a way to keep human body parts alive? He keeps his fiancée, Severe Head, alive for days while hiding one of his failed experiments in the closet. Or could it be more like Alien from the 1979 film, where Ripley survives through a hypersleep for months or even years and she wakes up and continues her mission? Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you believe there's actually a human behind the algorithm? Now, I wanted to talk about the scene where Helen and Daniel meet Steve to listen to the unencrypted communication from Charlotte's mission. What immediately caught my attention was Steve's computer screen. It mentioned that an ex-Navy program was testing acoustic crowd control, and the electromagnetic frequency pumped into the atmosphere can destabilize entire ecosystem and underwater volcanoes. Then at the end of the conversation, it says the Earth is reacting and humanity is the target. I ended up finding several articles about acoustics of submarine volcano eruptions. Since most volcanoes are hidden beneath the ocean, scientists can actually watch them erupt. Instead, they detect them using acoustic signals, initially listening for earthquakes, explosions, and other underwater sounds. Since 1939, researchers have documented over 119 submarine eruptions, but many remain difficult to verify. Even after decades of research, scientists admit there are still major mysteries surrounding what happened deep beneath the ocean. Now, I want to make one thing clear. Acoustic crowd control and nanobots are not the same thing. I don't believe they're directly connected. However, they do share one important similarity. Both involve things humans can't see with the naked eye. Underwater volcano activity is invisible to us, but scientists detect it through sound. Nanobots are also invisible because they are microscopic. Humans can't see individual nanobots, but they can see their physical effects when they gather together to massive concentrate swarms. Now, as I mentioned before, there are several articles, acoustic crowd control. Now, some of them mention about military weapons and so forth, but I don't want to dig that deep with that. I also want to talk about the chess game Henry was playing online. Now, normally, when you're dealing with someone like Steve from the dark web, communication is often hidden in plain sight. One technique that's actually been used is called game-based steganography. Instead of hiding messages inside images or audio files, people can encode secret messages into the sequence of moves in a chess game. The same concept can be applied to video games, where seemingly normal actions can secretly communicate information without anyone realizing it. It actually happened throughout history as well. During the American Revolution, George Washington's Culper spy ring used invisible ink, a form of physical stenography, to hide messages inside ordinary looking letters. Even Thomas Jefferson developed his own encryption device called the Jefferson Will Cipher, a mechanical system designed to encrypt private and political correspondence. If someone intercepted the message, it would appear meaningless unless they had the correct cipher wheel to decode it. Now back to Silo. Let's talk about Camille and Sims. Their conversation was tense. You can tell Sims wasn't fully on board with using the vitamin D. But after seeing Juliet fail to recognize her own father, I think it gave Sims a completely different perspective, not as a judge, but as a father.
I don't even remember what it feels like to have a dad.
Do you guys think that Sims will eventually support Camille's decision regarding the vitamin D? Hell, will he even help her as Camille requested? Then we get the scene between Sims and his son. Anthony gives Sims the same pass dispenser that Sim once gave him whenever he was scared. Anthony says, "You gave this to me so I wouldn't be worried, remember?" And Sims replies, "I remember, son." That pass dispenser has appeared in season 1, 2, and now 3. I think it's much more significant than we realize. When Daniel gave Helen the pass dispenser, I believe it symbolized something to remember him by, what Daniel originally believed was going to be a date. So when the water infusion or vitamin D is eventually used, I think the pass dispenser could become the object that reconnects Sims to his memories of Anthony. Finally, Lucas Cal is alive. Will he tell the outsiders everything he learned about the other silos and the safeguard? Or will he continue to keep in that secret? I don't know, time will tell, but I think that Lucas Cal probably won't say anything. I think he will only tell Juliet because he trusts her. And poor Orla Kid, she's dead. Now the question is, who killed her? Now here are my suspects that I think that one of them might have killed Orla. One thing that really has me thinking about the entire series, if the outside world is truly toxic, then why go to such extreme lengths to prevent communication between the silos? That had me thinking about this ever since I watched Silo season 1. So think about it. If the founders genuinely wanted humanity to survive, wouldn't it make more sense for the silos to work together? If one silo ran out of food, medicine, or experienced a mechanical failure, another silo could help. Instead, they're completely isolated. They're not allowed to communicate. They're not even supposed to know the other silos exist. That tells me the real threat may not be the outside world. It could be the exchange of information. Throughout history, governments have always controlled communication because information creates unity. And unity creates revolution. The moment people realize they're not alone, they begin asking questions, comparing stories, and exposing lies. Maybe that's exactly what the founders was trying to prevent from the beginning. Overall, I thought this episode was great. I really enjoyed it and I want to read the book so badly. But let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you in the next one.